Welcome to the Thursday? Yeah, it is Thursday. How's it going, everybody? It is Thursday, Friday, Junior, Friday Eve. How's it going, Astro? How's it going, Heat? Keep speaking truth to power. Well, we can only try here, right? We can only try. We've got some good memes incoming, so sit tight, grab your favorite beverage. I just found out Josh Hawley was a Missouri Attorney General before Congress. Really? I guess I just found out today too. Yeah, it is scary to say the least. Jesus. To say the least, that's pretty disturbing. Alright, folks. We've got a plethora of things to go through, so I'm going to start firing up some of these things here. Let's talk about Medicare for all, right? My position for Medicare for all, or for some type of universal healthcare system, is pretty simple. It is by far the most efficient system and, generally speaking, provides the best outcomes. There are plenty of studies to suggest that not only is it cheaper, more economic, more efficient, but it also provides, in the long run, better health outcomes, right? It's just better all around. There's no reason to support a for-profit system. There's no reason for private health insurance companies and specific health insurance companies to exist. Period. Full stop. There should be no reason. They provide absolutely no value. And they don't even do what they're purported to do anyways. Their job is to make sure that they provide profit for their shareholders every quarter. And that's it. They do not care about the patients. They do not care about your healthcare. They care about how much money they can extract from you. That's it. And how much they can get away with denying you basic healthcare. They also dictate what you can and cannot do. They dictate the drugs that you are able to take. They dictate which doctor you get to go to, because if it's not a network, well, you're SOL and you have to pay much more. So legitimately, there's no purpose for private health insurance companies, in my opinion. That being said, let's take a look at this truly intellectual giant. I mean, truly, I don't even know how to compete. I don't even know how to compete with this intellectual giant. Republican Thomas Massey: over 70% of Americans who died with COVID died on Medicare, and some people want Medicare for all. Yeah. This is a real tweet from a real Republican. This is a real tweet from a Republican. That's right. Over 70% of Americans who died with COVID died on Medicare, and some people want Medicare for all. I mean, how do you even respond to this? How do you even respond to this? And so, first and foremost, this is a wild leap in logic. Like, I'm telling you that I have absolutely no idea why Republicans oppose Medicare for all, with like the amount of pivoting that these people do, the amount of like the Olympic level of mental gymnastics. I mean, shouldn't they want Medicare for all of these for their Olympic levels of mental gymnastics? I mean, how do you even get to this point, right? First and foremost, over 70% of Americans who died with COVID would be the elderly, right? The overwhelming majority of people who have died, who are dying from COVID, are elderly people. And elderly people, and this is true, are on Medicare. Yeah, that's it. That's legitimately how he arrived at this conclusion. The reason why 70% of Americans who died of COVID is because the overwhelming majority are elderly, which we know, and he knows, that this disease, this virus, is incredibly dangerous to folks who are elderly, which are the overwhelming majority of people who are on Medicare, obviously. This is like so obvious, but you know, the Republican propaganda machine must continue, and the reaches and stretches and Olympic levels of mental gymnastics necessary to keep this going is just beyond me. The medical status and personal wealth have nothing to do with medical outcomes. In this country, they do. If you have a lot of money, if you have money, then yes, you have the best wealth care system in the world. Yes. If you have money, then yes, you have the best wealth care system here. We will never get Medicare for all. Yeah, well, as long as these people are in power, yeah, that's true. I mean, like, how asinine does this have to be? Do you have to be to tweet out this statement as if Medicare for all is the reason why 70% of Americans died, or trying to make the connection that because they're on Medicare, they had less healthcare, or worse, I guess I should say, worse health outcomes? Is that what it is? Because that's just not true. The reason why 70% of Americans died on COVID who are also on Medicare is just very simple. They're on the elderly side. That's it. That's literally it. That's the answer. That's it. I'd be pissed if I died from COVID and this guy tried to use my death to justify not giving healthcare to other people. Yeah, that's another good point. That's another good point. It gets better. It gets better. It gets better. I'm on Medicare, caught COVID twice, didn't go to the hospital because I don't know what the fuck is actually going to be covered. Well, Medicare is not the same thing as, is he referring to Medicare or Medicaid? Because that's a good point. Is he talking about Medicaid or Medicare? I actually don't think he understands the difference. And furthermore, your question should then be, why isn't Medicare covering what needs to be covered? It's because it's been privatized, or some parts that are supposed to be Medicare are being diverted to the private sector. That's what it is, too. The elderly and poor are more likely to be on Medicare. Yes, but I think there's two. There's Medicaid and Medicare, right? Medicare is when you reach Medicare is when you reach 65 and up, I think, and Medicaid is when you don't have enough money. Imagine being locked into a single-payer healthcare system that wouldn't pay for anything unless you got 2 shots and a booster. First of all, I don't think that's going on in any place, of the world. To my knowledge, and somebody can correct me, for all the other places, for the people that are way ahead of us in terms of healthcare, to my knowledge, you are not denied healthcare. To my knowledge, Astro, you live in the UK. Does the NHS deny healthcare? Or have you ever seen a scenario where the NHS wouldn't pay for something or wouldn't service you because you didn't get the 2 shots? And furthermore, couldn't the private industry do the same thing? Oh wait, it already does. There are employers, private employers, not by the government, making you pay an astronomical premium if you're not vaccinated. This has nothing to do with government mandates because, well, as far as OSHA mandates go, they were struck down by the Supreme Court. So these are private corporations who are taking COVID risk into consideration and raising premiums to their employees who are not vaccinated. So what's the difference here? This isn't a good argument. Because I can turn this around and say, imagine being locked into a system, into a private healthcare system that wouldn't pay for anything unless you do what they want, right? Unless you are specifically going to the doctor that they want you to go to, unless you're going to take the drugs that they say you're going to take, whether or not you need a procedure or not. Imagine being locked into that system. Oh, and paying a premium and paying co-insurance, which is a very weird concept to me. Imagine paying for insurance, but then end up paying co-insurance, so you're paying 20% or whatever their co-insurance is. Although even though you're paying for insurance, they make you pay 20% depending on your plan for co-insurance, which I thought that's what the reason. Why are you paying them co-insurance? But nonetheless, you have co-payments, co-insurance premiums, deductibles. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Astro. The NHS will give initial treatment and follow-ups. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. However, underfunding has delayed and caused a backlog. You can thank conservatives for that one. Oh look, a clown show. I've seen Jimmy Dore leftists be against vaccines and mandates to protect workers while also supporting Medicare for all and unions. I mean, there's at the end of the day, they're human beings, right? So there is a world where you can live in these two simultaneous worlds. Conservatives do it all the time. They're saying the quiet part out loud for too many of them. It's about control, not affordability. Except the single-payer system would be more affordable than the current private health insurance, and we're already under the thumb of private insurance. We're already at the whims and mercy of private insurance companies. We're already being coerced. We're already being coerced by private companies how we run our own healthcare. Okay? We're already being told what drugs we can take. We're already being told which doctor we can see. We're already being told what procedure may or may not be covered. So, He either doesn't know what Medicare for All actually is, or doesn't want his followers to know. This guy graduated from MIT. Okay? This guy graduated from MIT, so I suspect that he actually does know. We do have restrictions on high-priced medicines and treatments, but people with a good expectation of continuing good lives are always cured or supported. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the bare minimum anyone can, like, ask for from their government, right? That is like the baseline of what we should be asking from our government, right? And he definitely has a conflict of interest in this argument. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, the reality is this guy, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. There's no way that he doesn't understand the arguments, because me, and this is true, not a big brain intellectual, understand the concepts. And you're telling me that this guy doesn't? Like, contrary to popular belief, I'm not exactly like the biggest of biggest brains, right? But somehow I am quite capable of understanding these arguments. Everyone can be private. As long as someone has no morals, they'll say whatever they're paid to. That's true. That's true. That's true, Takanala. That is very, very true. I love how he put his location, the swamp. That's pretty fitting, actually. That's pretty fitting. The only thing that triggers me here is the fact that every time I look at these, like, every time I look at these idiots on Twitter, I always get, like, the worst recommendations. Look at that. Now I just ruined my Twitter timeline again. They want to make Medicare for All seem impossible or ineffective because they have big pharmaceutical companies or insurance companies in its pocket. Yeah, I mean, that's partially true, and partially also it's like it's a mix of financial interest, lack of morals because of said financial interest, and dogma. Anything the government does is bad. Everything the government does is bad. But also, I live in this doublethink world where I want to be part of the government, but also government bad. I never understood that. And if you do think government bad, and if you do think that anything the government touches is bad, and you run and you happen to win a seat as a representative, as a senator, then wouldn't your job be to then make the government better, provide for the people, make it do what it's supposed to be doing? No, instead you're on Twitter trying to instead you're on Twitter making asinine comments like this, which is 100,000% illogical. This statement doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form. It's just meant for his base. It's just meant for conservatives. It's just meant to put in people's heads that universal healthcare is bad. It's just put out there in the hopes that people won't think critically for 5 seconds and make sense out of what he just said. They do this all the time on Twitter. True. Hey, remember Dr. Peterson? The radical, the centrist Dr. Peterson? Oof. Yikes. Damn. Remember how he kept up this facade that he wasn't conservative? Oof. Big oof. Big oof. Damn. And this one's fresh off the presses. I didn't notice this one. This is a problem when you click on one of these clowns' tweets, you get all kind of like notifications or suggestions. Look at that. The person who wasn't conservative. Damn. Who also spends a unnecessary amount of time on Twitter spreading climate change denial. It's almost like this guy isn't very honest. It's almost as if he's playing like a part. Like he's like playing like a part, and it just happens to be a part that gets him a lot of attention, and that attention happens to be driving sales and dollar bills into his pocket. If only there was like a word for that. If only there was a word for that. If there was, it's just like right at the tip of my tongue. When somebody consistently makes like contradictory positions to who they really are, and happens to get a lot of attention, and then that attention starts turning into dollar bills. Man, if there's only like a word for it. It's just right at the tip of my tongue. Damn. Hey Eric, how's it going? Yes, it's grifting. Yes. Why do furry people want to keep calling themselves centrist? This guy started as a liberal. He said that he was not conservative. He's by no means a conservative. In fact, he was actually a liberal. Hey, Ashley Bean Pie, how's it going? Isn't the G word TOS? True. Oh man, this is a great meme. I didn't even see this. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yes, you've fallen into the shithole that's conservative Twitter. True. Oh no, now I got a whole bunch of, like, stuff. Yes, to shift the window further. Like, this is the same scheme that Tim Pool ran, right? The centrist meme, but then when you actually look at his videos, they're like always skewed to paint a certain narrative of a certain side. Right, the same thing. It's the classic. I mean, wasn't he like one of the first people, Eric? The Rave Dubin? Yeah, he just did a Rave Dubin. Except he held out his grift a little bit longer. Yeah. Good memes. I'm so glad. I'm so glad I saw this. Truly. Candace Owens. Okay, we gotta talk about Candace Owens. Holy yikes, Batman. We gotta talk about Candace Owens. Jesus Christ. When somebody tells me, when somebody makes statements like this, it makes me feel like they weren't really being honest about being liberal and to begin with, right? Because if you have a problem with a certain faction of your group, you don't just throw away the rest of it, right? If you truly believe in those principles, you don't throw it away because a certain group did something that you didn't agree with, right? You just say that I don't agree with this part, but I still believe in X, Y, and Z, right? This is why, for example, I do have some criticisms of the left. I do think that there are toxic elements of the left. The problem is, I can acknowledge these things without then saying, I can't just kowtow to these people. I'm leaving the left. You know? Can you imagine? Oh man. I saw some like super toxic elements of lefty Twitter. So now, therefore, I just can't support Medicare for all anymore. I just can't support the idea of democracy and people owning the fruits of their own labor. I just can't do it anymore, folks. I saw some really mean people on Twitter and they're associated with the left, so I can't do it anymore. Like, Jesus Christ. Sometimes the left is even too consistent in their views. Sometimes, I mean, like, I like to consider myself very consistent. I've been saying the same things since the beginning of my public streaming career, public YouTube career, whatever, what little of it there is, whatever tiny views, whatever tiny views I've gotten, whatever tiny attention, whatever tiny subs I've gotten on my YouTube channel, all the way up until now, I've been pretty much the same consistent person this entire time. My views may have moved even a little bit more to the left, but the core principles of what makes my politics have been pretty much the same. Hey, Pink Rose, how's it going? Morning, JB was never left. No, I'm not saying he was. You mean Jordan Peterson? No, I'm not saying he was left. He said he was a liberal. And now the mask, now the curtain has been pulled to reveal that he in fact is conservative now. But the reality is, he's always been conservative. That's the problem, because it's a grift. It's a grift. It's a grift, folks. Best-selling author. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. This just happened to appear on my timeline because I was going over this this absolute clown, and now I have like things like this. Now I have like Kevin Sorbo in my notifications. But yeah, I just thought this was hilarious. Yeah, now I've got Kevin Sorbo in my freaking suggestions. Yeah, my Twitter's done. I'm just gonna torch it and start again. Morning. How does he have an audience to begin with? Like, how do you not see this? How do you not see this? To all those other folks who have some type of like reverence for this guy, how do you not see this? Like, I think that what like really Omega triggered me is the fact that he spent quite a while on Twitter spreading like this climate disinformation. He went like on he went on a climate change denial spree, and it just kind of like Omega triggered me. So now like I'm super I do not like him. Never mind his other cringe positions. That just kind of like set the cherry on top. Like the liberal like the liberal concept of Christianity being the cornerstone of Western civilization, like the Bible being like the first. What was it that he said? He said the Bible was like the first book of Western civilization or whatever on that Joe Rogan podcast. See, it's better for us to see right-wing tweets or videos third party like on stream than give them views. True. Hey, there you go. I might want to burn all accounts associated just to be on the safe side. True. Listen, Twitter was a mistake, all right? Maybe I shouldn't have clicked on this app. Actually, can somebody find that clip of him saying that the Bible was the cornerstone of Western civilization or something like that? He said it was the oldest book or literally work or something. Yeah. It was like the oldest book in now I have to find it. Hold on. I need the exact quote so that we're not misrepresenting. All right, hold on. Nope. I'm not ruining my YouTube. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
This is what the podcast has turned into. Absolutely nothing was said for 50 seconds. There was nothing there. Completely vapid. I'll get to the science in a second. But this...
Isn't that weird? Fuck am I? Because I'm darker than you.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but neither of us are white.
Well, I'm Italian.
And
mostly.
he was brown, not black.
Well,
What?
isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's
This
really
don't-
weird.
Black
is
Stop.
completely empty.
Set. Well, how did you decide which set of variables to include in the equation if it's about everything? And that's not just a criticism. That's like, if it's about everything, your models aren't right. Because your models do not and cannot model everything.
This is what the podcast has turned into.
Oh no, this was his asinine climate
Absolutely
change
nothing
take.
was said.
No, I need the one where he's talked about the Bible. Can we find that? No, I need the one where he said it was the oldest book. Okay, gotcha. Even though it's hugely stolen from Sumerian and Akkadian mythologies. Yes. That's gonna bother me. I need to find this clip. Can I find it on YouTube? Or... Gotcha. Yeah, I guess we'll go. Where can we find this? Because he posts so many videos. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, there we are. Okay.
Avalanches don't have...
Next segment, which is going to anger many people in my audience. I got a ton of it. So let me back up.
So, I guess we'll give one view to this obvious set stealer. Okay? I guess we'll give them a view. I guess we'll give this very obvious set stealer a view.
Last week, we looked at this interview that Jordan Peterson did with Joe Rogan. And the interview was just word salad after word salad of meaningless stuff.
True.
And predictably, I got a lot of emails from people saying, David, you might not have understood what Jordan Peterson was saying, but it made a lot of sense. In particular, his rant about the Bible. And unfortunately, you're wrong. What Jordan Peterson said about the Bible did not make a lot of sense. And so we're going to go through. Now, we did an overview of the interview last week. Now we're going to focus in specifically on Jordan Peterson's rant about the Bible, which makes no sense. And there's a really good, there's this subreddit called Ask a Historian. Some people would say Ask an Historian. That's a grammatical preference. And I'm going to summarize some of the comments here. The Reddit user who wrote this out is Kiwi Hellenist, who's an expert in early Greek literature. So let's go through the video. And we are now going to really focus in on the substance. It is an unintelligible word salad, and it's also wrong on the substance. So let's just jump right in.
So I just walked through the Museum of the Bible in Washington. That was very cool. It's a very cool museum.
So the structure, that's what the Bible
Yeah, that's what
provides.
I figured out. I just figured this out this week. So it was a cool thing to walk through because it's chronological. They have one floor, which is the history of the Bible. But it's not exactly that. It's really what it is the history of the book.
Right.
Now, in many ways, the first book was the Bible.
Okay. In many ways, the first book was the Bible. Now, what
okay,
does he
so
mean by that?
obviously that is wrong.
He says he's talking about the history of the book, not the content. Okay, so if that's what he means, the first book was not the Bible. Books date back to the start of the 2nd millennium BC. The Bible dates to no earlier than the 7th century BC, or BCE, as is now often said. Some of it came much later than that even, and the New Testament is even newer. So, okay, first statement, the first book was not the Bible. It's a factually incorrect statement.
I mean, literally, because at one point there was only one book.
Okay. I mean, literally, it was the first book because at one point there was only one book. At one point, I guess there was only one book, but it wasn't the Bible. It was the Bible was not that book.
Like, as far as our Western culture is concerned, there was one book.
No, that's not true.
As far
The
as our
Hebrew Bible-
okay, so there we go. So you see the implication there. You see the implication there. As far as Western culture is concerned, there is one book. What? I'm trying to focus on bettering myself instead of hating online personalities a lot easier. Well,
Culture is concerned, there was one book.
No, that's not true.
unfortunately, this
The
guy is
Hebrew-
spreading a lot of lies and misinformation. So we got to handle it.
Bible is made up of a bunch of different texts, and they were written over a period of time that is about 500 years. And prior to that, there were many books that were written. It's what he's saying is it's factually untrue. There's no, I mean, I'm like over-explaining. It's just not true.
And for a while, literally, there was only one book, and that book was the Bible. And then before it was the Bible, it was
Regarding
scrolls,
Pacman, yeah,
writings
like
of
I'm
papyrus,
only mad
but
at
it was-
him
we were
because he
starting to
stole my
aggregate
set.
written
Okay, look, it's very clear. It's very clear who has the superior set. Okay, it's very obvious. It's very obvious who has the superior set. Okay.
text together. And it went through all sorts of technological transformations, and then it became books that everybody could buy, the book everybody could buy, and the first one of those was the Bible. And then it became all sorts of books that everybody could buy. But all those books, in some sense, emerged out of that underlying book. And that book itself, the Bible isn't a book, it's a library.
Now, there's actually almost nothing to fact check there. The writings on papyrus, those were the books of the time. So to say that because it was on papyrus, they're not really books, it ignores the reality of the times. Not all future books emerged from the Bible either. Like the Odyssey was written in the 8th century BCE. That didn't emerge from the Bible. Most of the Iliad is older than the Bible. That's a book, whether it was written on papyrus or not. And then there's this sort of last thing he says here.
The Bible isn't a book, it's a library.
The Bible isn't a book, it's a library.
It's a collection of books.
Okay. It's not really clear what he means by that. The Bible is a book made up of different passages written at different times and assembled together. It's a pretty vague statement. And as the culmination of everything else that he said that's straight up wrong, it's not really worth much one way or the other.
I didn't
to
know
say the
that
Bible
detail.
is a
Yeah,
library.
I'm memeing,
It's
of course.
not just that if it sounds like a word salad, we're not smart enough to understand it. To all the people emailing me, insisting me how right he is wrong.
Sam and David
He is
copied
wrong. It
Carlos's
doesn't make
set.
any sense.
True.
It doesn't mean everything he says is wrong, but he's completely wrong about just about everything he said in that clip. Let me know your thoughts. You can
True. Yeah, there we go. It means he realized he was wrong and never will admit it. True. True. I know nothing about religion or the Bible. Well, I would almost argue that that's preferable. preferable. So none of that made sense to me. Well, that's why he throws in those after the fact true qualifiers. Gotcha. Yep. Anyways, this was a good meme. I wasn't a conservative until liberals kowtowed to radicals. Okay. The Bible is nowhere near as toxic as the church itself. I don't know about that. I could point to some pretty toxic pretty toxic stories and toxic, pretty toxic elements of the Bible itself without having to be interpreted. I would argue there's some pretty wild stuff in the Bible that you don't need no interpretation to gather what's being said there. So yeah, it just depends. I'm trans and I live in an evangelical area. Council of Nicaea, I think. Oh, okay. I'm just saying that, like, the actual texts themselves, you don't need a church. You can read it yourself. I've certainly read some omega cringe passages on the Bible. Trust me, you don't need a church to see. I have a chip on my shoulder from that class. My mom put me and my older sister in a catechism where we were all little, and the first thing my sister did ask was if they're like gay people, and if they like gay people, and I never forgot. That's pretty cool. Based sister. Based sister. Howdy, howdy. Oof, that's an omega yikes from me. That's an omega yikes from me from an 8-minute account. Go fuck yourself. How about that one? How about you get fucked? How about that one? Yeah, sadly, I was indoctrinated from birth into church. Abuse at a young age ended it for me until Sunday school. Oof. My sister got me out of it going to church when she was like 10 because she said, "Mommy, you can't choose our religion." Holy yikes, Dendera. What a based sister. Jeez. I think people who go on Twitch make endless amounts of troll accounts to go on small lefty channels just to say the most abhorrent things may or may not need to speak to somebody. Jeez, Dendera, you have a based sister. Jesus. Mom, you can't choose my religion. Or you can't choose our religion. Damn, I wish I had that thought process when I was a kid. I wish I had that thought process. Like, you can't actually choose my religion for me. Yeah, touch some grass or something. Just call me Goat. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. Big dangly thangs. Same went on many mission trips and had some cringy moments that I regretted. She taught me about Medicare for All and showed me Bernie in 2016. That's pretty cool. Hey, look at that. You probably have one of the most based sisters I've seen. That's pretty awesome. That is pretty cool. My Pentecostal aunt used to speak in tongues. I don't talk to her. I don't even understand like how I don't even understand how people even do that. Yeah, that's just somebody who has nothing better to do. But spread vitriol. She's vegan, but I'm not. Well, you can move in that direction. You can move to a very manageable plant-based diet little by little. It's possible, I promise. I promise it's possible. Yeah, it's a cult, 1980s. Her husband had a big church taking money from poor rural people. That's pretty yikesy. Might cow owns my belly, must consume cow. What? That doesn't make sense. Anyways, this is a good meme. So, I wasn't conservative until liberals kowtowed to radicals. This isn't 144 characters, my friend. You could probably elaborate on what that means. I think her husband got charged with tax fraud. Jesus.
Hello, somebody.
But if they're encouraging you to smoke more crack, maybe they're lying.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that the Biden administration loves Black America and loves America and cares about the health and well-being. All you have to do to be healthy in Joe Biden's America is stay at home, lock your doors, avoid sunlight, mask your children. When you step outside, let it only be to get 5 vaccines and maybe do a smash and grab crime. And then on your way back home, grab a government-sponsored crack pipe. I don't know why people think that Joe Biden doesn't care about the lives of the average Americans and Black Americans. It's so clear by the way he's running things that he actually cares.
First of all, the tacit kind of like weird connection that she made regarding crack and Black Americans, that's kind of weird there, my friend. That's kind of cringe. And second of all, it's not as simple as the Joe Biden administration just handing out crack pipes, okay? It's not that simple. They are funding grants to support programs that are akin to clean needle programs, right? To avoid, obviously, harm for people using these hard drugs. It would be nice if we had like a universal healthcare system that would take into account and treat drug addiction. It would be nice if we moved in the direction of decriminalizing drugs, legalizing drugs, and getting people help that they need. But the fact that the Biden administration is attempting to do something to mitigate harm, to reduce infections, to fund grants that help drug addicts. I can't. She's against that, and she's criticizing it and making fun of it and making a weird connection between crack and black people. That's kind of weird, my friend.
Cares. You know, it's pointedly ridiculous that this is going on, and it's sad to hear him explain how easy it is to get drugs, because we all know this is going on, and they're pretending that it's not. They're actually mocking us and pretending that we're being dramatic and discussing how horrible the lives have gotten for the average Americans, but especially those living in inner cities, as you touched on, you know, a couple of weeks ago. And Jen Psaki saying, oh, it's not happening, it's just a Fox News conspiracy theory. Anybody that's telling you that we don't care about your health, they're conspiracy theorists. In fact, we're going to fact check them and deplatform them. But the bigger thing here is that Joe Biden is not the mastermind of this plan. I mean, Joe Biden is not even a mind in this plan. He has no idea what's going on. So
can anybody guess what's going to happen next? Can anybody guess what Candace Owens over here is going to say next? Hey Dustin, how's it going? She's still upset Trump has no Twitter. Yeah, apparently deplatforming means I get to go on one of the nation's highest rated cable news. Doesn't she work also for one of the most viewed conservative platforms, the Daily Wire? Isn't the Daily Wire one of the most viewed platforms on Facebook, and it is huge on YouTube as well? Didn't she have like a couple videos on PragerU on YouTube? Politicians and the media profit on division and outrage to fuel extremes that make us believe we're divided. Like Fox, like this guy. Yeah, like this guy. Alright, chat. What do you think, Candace Owens? Who do you think Candace Owens is going to blame? Who do you think Candace Owens is going to blame? Okay, we've got Obama. We've got Obama. AOC. Okay. The Democratic Party. Joe and Kamala Harris. The individual themselves. Okay. We've got Pelosi. We've got a few good ones. All right. Here we go. Candace, tell us who's really behind it all.
Somebody points a direction and he goes, right? And so you have to take a look at who's actually sponsoring this. And of course, it's some George Soros NGOs that are saying this is what we need. And this is something that needs to be said. Every time you look at what is happening in the black community, you look at who is sponsoring it, the name George Soros keeps coming up. I think it's clear that in America today, the most racist and effective man at being racist in America is George Soros, bar none. He's the district attorneys. He's got them under lock and key, telling them to release criminals in the black community.
He's the district attorney? What?
He's got Black Lives Matter burning down, his money behind Black Lives Matter and those riots. He's got
source?
Got politicians on his arm telling them to defund the police, getting them behind these initiatives. Who is this harming at the end of the day? Black America. But nobody has the courage to call this out. The Biden administration they're just puppets, right? They do what they're told.
Oh, I see. So it is the Jewish people acting as puppet masters who own everything, who own and control everything. They control the government, they control the district attorney, all to undermine, like, Jesus Christ.
does this person have this much power to go after inner cities and the communities, and Black Americans are suffering and nothing is being done?
So she also, like, this is obviously the Jewish question, okay? So for those of you that don't know, this is basically the Jewish question. That's what she's spewing on, completely unencumbered, on Tucker Carlson's show. That's what she's spewing. She's spewing the Jewish question, which is unbelievably disgusting. And Ben Shapiro is completely okay with this. He supports her. He gives her a platform. No pushback whatsoever. No denunciation whatsoever. Which means to me that he's perfectly comfortable with this. Perfectly comfortable with Candace Owens going out there and talking about Jewish puppet masters controlling the government, the media. I mean, Jesus.
No one is calling this out.
So,
never mind the fact that the Koch brothers has spewed billions and billions of dollars, I'm sure, on such the same thing, right? Who funds the PragerU? Who funds all these conservative media outlets? I mean, that dude's a billionaire. And she goes straight for the Jewish person. That's right. When all else fails, end the conspiracy by mentioning George Soros. Well, no, yeah, it's just basically to push the Jewish question, completely unencumbered, on Tucker Carlson's show. How long does till Candace appears on Chris Cantwell's podcast? Oh man. Yeah, so surprise, the Jewish question being platformed on surprise, Tucker Carlson's show. But you know, Tucker Carlson isn't a white supremacist or anything like that. What I don't get is how this profits their corporate overlords besides just the media. Well, it brings viewers. Tucker Carlson is one of the most highly viewed cable news shows. So yeah. Stop smearing Tucker. I mean, you're doing this to yourself, buddy. You're doing this to yourself. You're doing this to yourself. Oh, he's 100% sus. He's 100% sus. Immigrants make this country dirty, Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Yeah. Just a casual JQ segment on primetime. True. That's how comfortable people like him feel. There's not much dog whistle behind what she was saying. Like, it is the most obvious low effort dog whistle I've seen. There's nothing, there's no like hidden layers behind any of it. It's just I think that this Jewish person happens to own the district attorneys, the politicians, and he is the quote puppet master. I mean, what else do you need? There's no thinly veiled nothing here. And therefore, he is the reason why black people are being like affected, right? Why there's a lot of problems, and that's the reason for the problems of black people. I mean, how is that not the JQ? The RNC chair, disagreements in our party is welcome, but GOP lawmakers on January 6th panel went a step too far. Okay, so this is to piggyback on what we were talking about yesterday. So yesterday we went over the fact that the Republican National Committee, the head of the Republican Party, of the National Republican Party, basically said that what happened on January 6th was legitimate political discourse. Just casually and tacitly saying that, you know what, insurrection is okay. Now, we've got a bit of a backpedal over here. McDaniel, who is the head of the RNC, initially responded by placing the blame on the media, of course, which he said really distorted some of the language in the center. Legitimate political discourse never includes violence. She later said that she believed that the House Select Committee had gone beyond its scope. Quote, disagreement is within our party is welcome. It makes us great we can have that. We have a big tent, but when you have two members who are willing to go with Nancy Pelosi when the minority on the Republican Party was not able to put people on that committee of their own choosing, that's a step too far. Wrong. The Republican Party was originally offered a completely bipartisan, straight down the middle, equal power committee. So no, you're just lying again. And that's where the RNC members who represent the grassroots came down on this issue. The resolution that included that the committee passed last week included language that said Kissinger and Cheney were involved in the persecution of ordinary citizens engaged in legitimate political discourse by participating in the January 6th committee. So what are we supposed to gather from this? The people, ordinary citizens, are you talking about the insurrectionists? So those ordinary citizens are engaged in legitimate political discourse? So what are we supposed to gather from this? That's their words. That's a quote from them. That's a quote from them. Well, no, apparently, this is legitimate political discourse. So basically, all bets are off. There's nothing unambiguous about this statement. Quote, Kissinger and Cheney were involved in persecution of ordinary citizens engaged in legitimate political discourse simply by participating in the January 6th committee. Of course, this person tried to backpedal and say that what they actually meant was they were talking about the false electors that were being shoehorned to overturn the election. So even if we grant that, even if we grant the fact that she wasn't talking about the insurrectionists, then you putting false electors to overturn an election is not okay either. So if the Democratic Party loses an election, we can just put false electors and say that that's okay because that's legitimate political discourse. You see, these people continue to talk about freedom and democracy, but I kind of think they mean the other thing. I kind of think they mean the opposite. And even if we grant them the most charitable interpretation, the most charitable interpretation of all, which means that, oh, people should have the right to have disagreements if they, if there's an election that doesn't go their way, they have a right to air grievances. Okay. But air grievances doesn't mean drum up your base to the point where they have no other, they feel like they have no other option except do violence. That is not protected speech. Okay? And you continuously push the idea that everything is rigged, that you have to fight for a country, you have to save America, you have to take back your country. When you use language like, there's no way that I could lose this election unless it was rigged. And then your surprised Pikachu face when there's like an insurrection at the Capitol. Nah, fam. That is the definition of stochastic terrorism, Dendera. Correct. When you tell people consistently over and over and over again, even before the election, that everything is rigged, or it's going to be rigged if me, the dear leader, doesn't win, and you make it seem like these people who are already disposed to acting in this manner, that you have to fight for your country, that we want warriors, you have to save America, stop the steal, this was stolen from you, take back your country. I mean, how else is somebody who's already predisposed to this is going to feel and is going to act and is going to rationalize their actions, right? That's how they rationalize these actions, right? Because they keep hearing constantly from the dear leader that everything was stolen from them. They have no other recourse. There's literally communication between these far-right groups saying that they have to prepare for civil war if need be. They have to prepare for violence if need be. And it's like, dude, this is all based on a lie. You know that, right? This is all based on a lie. I have a video saying that this guy, this Donald Trump, this guy is priming the pump for some stuff to go down. And sure enough, it happened. Hey, Kal-El. How's it going? Well, the good news is that the next time we try to do whataboutism when it comes to BLM, we can just point to this and say, but you guys already deemed it legitimate political discourse, so what are we talking about? That kind of we never have to talk about it again. They basically solved this issue for us, right? Howdy, pretty okay, hope you're well. I'm hanging in there, my friend. They basically said all bets are off. If you don't like an election, then you can engage in legitimate political discourse. Trump responds to McConnell's, this is again just to kind of piggyback off this, criticism of the RNC censure resolution. Former President Trump slammed Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell after the top Senate Republican criticized the RNC censure of Representative Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and his characterization of the January 6th Capitol riot as a Capitol insurrection as a legitimate political discourse. I held off on going off to protest after I hit a point where I wanted to stop being peaceful. We on the left have too much self-control. No, but it's okay because they've deemed it legitimate political discourse now. Mitch McConnell does not speak, and this is Donald Trump quote, Mitch McConnell does not speak for the Republican Party and does not represent the view of the vast majority of its voters. Yeah, that's deeply disturbing. He did nothing to fight for his constituents and stop the most fraudulent election in the American history. Again, continuing to fan the flames, of this, and again, without any evidence whatsoever. Without any evidence whatsoever. Trump said in a statement resurfacing his baseless claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Dude, it's February of 2022, my dude. Jesus Christ. If Mitch would have fought for the election like Democrats would have if in the same position. No. What are you talking about? We would not be discussing any of the above today. Right, because me, the totally not authoritarian person, would be in power, as I rightfully deemed myself worthy of. Yeah, fuck off. And our country would be strong and proud instead of weak and embarrassed. Right, because might makes right. Isn't that right, Donnie? Trump has made frequent attacks has frequently attacked McConnell for acknowledging President Biden as the legitimate winner of the 2020 election and rejecting the former president's claim that widespread fraud has tainted the outcome of the vote. And his latest remarks came a day after McConnell pushed back against the RNC's censure of Cheney and Kinzinger investigating the Capitol riot. McConnell also criticized the party's censure resolution for apparently referring to the attack on the Capitol as legitimate political discourse. Yeah, so, McConnell understood the same language that we did. Okay? McConnell is not your friend. McConnell is not our friend. But even he understood what they meant, no matter how much you try to hide it or deflect it. It was pretty much unambiguous. Quote, we saw it happen. It was a violent insurrection for the purpose of trying to prevent the peaceful transfer of power after a legitimately certified election from one administration to the next. That's what it was. So, yeah. The only caveat I would say is from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. Copium, I'm not weak. Yeah. The RNC chairwoman, McDaniel, has rejected the notion that the resolution's inclusion of the phrase legitimate political discourse referred to those who committed acts of violence during the January 6th riot. Rather, she argued that it was intended to refer to those who engaged in, quote, peaceful protests. Okay. Good memes. In an op-ed published on conservative website Town Hall on Tuesday, McDaniel noted that she repeatedly condemned the violence that occurred on the Capitol on January 6 and blamed the news media for misconstruing the text of the censure resolution. Yeah. Except it wasn't just the media who misread what you said. So, sorry if I don't buy that. Unbelievable. Stop trying to sell me shoes, dude. Can I also point out the tacit admission that Donald Trump believes that the majority of the base is not that the majority of the base is still living in a delusional reality? Benjamin P. Dixon, rating with a party of 25. Welcome, everybody. Hey, Siscat, Skid-a-deer. Somebody tried to shoe in a question at Bush, but he dodged it through. All right.
Please clap.
Jam Tomb, good morning from Like It or Not. Howdy, howdy. Agnostic Sister, how's it going? Folks, if you're just coming in, we are A Difficult Truth. If you've never seen us before, or how are you today? I'm hanging in there. Yes, please follow, subscribe, do the YouTubes, all that awesome stuff. If you don't know who we are A Difficult Truth. We do news and politics Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturdays we have Saturday Catterdays, where it is a miscellaneous version of the stream. But one thing is guaranteed: there are kitty cats on stream, guaranteed 100%, or multiple kitty cats, just depends. Yes, follow, subscribe to the YouTube, do all that awesome stuff. And also, don't forget to hit the follow button, as you get 5 free emotes, right? And one of them is Vaquita the Cat, as Agnostic Sister just posted. Spam those Vaquita the Cat emotes, alright? They're good. They're very good, okay? So Donald Trump continues to spew the lie that the election was stolen, and tacitly admits that most Republican voters are of the opinion that the election was stolen, which he seems to believe, which is deeply disturbing. Earlier, we went over the Republican RNC chairwoman attempt to deflect the words that she said or wrote on January 6th. She said that the characterization of the January 6th was legitimate political discourse. No matter how you want to slice it, it doesn't look good, okay? It doesn't look good. Furthermore, she tried to deflect by saying that what she actually meant, or what they actually meant, was that the fake electors were legitimate political discourse. Now we're saying that, oh, we don't mean that. We mean the people who participated in peaceful protest. Does he believe it, or is it like anyone else with him? A deflection of his own inadequacy. I think it's a projection because he knows who he is, but he doesn't want others to. Maybe, but I would argue that a good portion of the Republican Party is with him, a good portion of them. I'm not saying everybody because, well, that's just not true. But a good portion of them are. It always floats around anywhere from 25 to 35%, which is a huge chunk. Enough to make a difference, in my opinion. That's right, Thundera. I think he just likes manipulating and finds it fun to get away with it, and he learned he could make dollars off it. True. Have you seen some of those emails that he writes? Well, not that he writes, but that his campaign people write? They are incredibly creepy. They are incredibly creepy. If you've ever seen those emails... Oh man, K-pop girl, how's it going? Thank you for the follow, appreciate that. If you've ever seen any of those emails, Jesus Christ, the DNC emails suck too. Oh yeah, I bet too. No pushback on that one. I believe others believe it, but not the elected officials pushing it. I think that they're feeding it because it stokes the fear in their base, and they run things on fear and anger. Yeah, we're talking about the base. I think that a lot of the Republican, there are a contingent of Republican elected officials that are true believers, but I think a good portion of Republican officials do not believe the election was stolen. I keep unsubscribing, but they keep finding me. Jesus, that's creepy. Oh, Jesus. I saw your stream from the Benjamin P. Dixon. Thank you, K-pop. I appreciate that, and thank you, Benjamin P. Dixon, for rating. I get the super dramatic DNC Chuck Schumer emails about Trump. Oh my god. But they still got a taste of power and they're all drunk with it. True. I get the creepy Lauren Boebert emails. They're disturbing. Yeah, like there's one thing if you get like a bunch of email, and we see the ads too, like the Republican Party is threatening our and like, okay, but like, why are you asking us for money, my dude? Do your job. From what I've read, the actual like Trump emails are like cult-like. They're like cult-like, basically. If you don't donate, I thought you were one of the top 5 Trump supporters. We need you today, right now, this very second, to donate to Donald Trump's campaign or whatever. And Donald Trump personally is going to read this message. Did they ever find the people who put those pipe bombs? Yeah, I think they've... No, they haven't found the one guy. Supposedly, it is one person. Supposedly, it was one person who put those pipe bombs, I think the day before. The day before the totally normal tourist attraction on January 6th, a totally normal, peaceful grandma protest, that involved pipe bombs and plans to distribute weapons caches should things get violent, that insurrection. They never found that one guy. Grandma got to hold hands with her friends, Drew. Well, I guess we should go into meme. This is it. That is a real tweet with a real picture. No further commentary. No further commentary. The insurrection was just put on record as a legitimate political discourse. Jordan Peterson Call of Duty version. That's a good meme. I mean, these memes make themselves, right? Yeah. That's it. I mean, what else do we need to do? Call of Duty when boys clean their rooms. Drew. 12 rules of modern warfare. True. That's okay. That's the best one I've seen so far. That's too funny. Oh man. Can I steal that, Kal-El? Can I just steal that? Feel free? Okay, I need to do this. I'm sorry, that was too good. Okay, that's too good. Wait, should I put should I make it obvious or should I just put it like this? Okay, I think I should just leave it as is. Oh my god. I'm sorry, this is a good meme. This is a good meme. Less is more, that's right, Skidded Ear. Night vision in that well-lit room? Yeah, that's not good for you, actually. That's not good for that. That's not good for you. 0.05 Ethereum for that tweet? What if I make that tweet into an NFT and then give it to you? Would that be fair? Would it be fair if I made that tweet into an NFT? Nobody right-click save, okay? Do not screenshot it. It is my NFT. What if I NFT it and then just send it to you? Print it on a shirt and boom. Nice. I gotta do more. I gotta do more on that. Yes, Twitter auto-posting every tweet as an NFT. Yes. There we go. Boom. That is a fantastic business idea. Oh, man. NFTs from ADT. True. True. Exclusive. Exclusive. I felt like this was a good meme. All right, this was a good meme. I don't think I needed to do any more commentary. I thought that this was just funny. MAGA Man? No, he's not MAGA Man. He's Jordan Peterson. Good memes. Yeah, also news, this is breaking news for those of you that were for those of you that are just walking in. I mean, he tweets so much that it's kind of hard to keep up. Barry Weiss. I can't keep up with all his tweets. My goodness. Anyways, he he made a tweet earlier today. Oh no, yesterday night, I should say, saying that he's no longer liberal. He's now conservative. I know this is a surprise to everybody, but he's now a conservative because the liberals have kowtowed to radicals. There we go. It only took me like 10 years. The people who live on Twitter annoy the shit out of me. What do you do for money? How are you alive now? Ah, man. I wasn't a conservative until liberals kowtowed to radicals. This is, this was yesterday's Skiddeer. If you're just tuning in, I got this wonderful gem suggested to me. Suggested to me after I went over a just absolutely asinine tweet from a Republican lawmaker. I got this gem suggested to me via the very wonderful algorithm. Yeah, so it turns out, I understand what he means by liberals. He means like lefty people-ish. He doesn't say. He doesn't say. I'm not sure. Oh, I see what it is. Here, I got you, Jamtoom. Don't worry, Alia, we'll get to that one. Yeah, irked. We went over this earlier. Like this is like me saying that just because there's like some omega cringe people, you know, I keep saying the foolish things like it could be worse or they couldn't possibly say anything dumber, and yet here we are. Like this is like me saying that I no longer support, you know, leftist progressive movements or ideas because there is some omega cringe people on the left, and therefore I just can't support it, guys. You know, it's just too much for me. You know, I just can't. I just can't support the left movement anymore. I have totally given up on the idea of you know, universal healthcare, housing, education, food, things like that, because there is like some just like omega cringe people in my camp that I just can't do it anymore, guys. Jesus. Yeah, the left made me a genocidal apologist because there was like some mean people. Silver Night Dragon resubscribing for 4 months on a 4-month streak. Good morning to you. Twitter banned me for life. Texas was debating a death penalty for abortions. I tweeted, Texas is so pro-life they will kill you. Twitter said it was a death threat and banned me for life. Wow, that is just wild, says Cat. Yeah, but that's not what he means, Hambless. That's not what he means. He means basically, you know, he's doing the Rave Dubin. He's doing the Rave Dubin meme, where he's like, well, the left has just gotten too much, and so therefore I'm going to throw away any type of progressive ideas because people are cringe in my camp instead of trying to make it better. Like, if you really had a legitimate criticism for the left, and just do that. It's okay. It's okay to disagree. Like, you know that, right? It's okay to disagree. It's okay if you feel like some of the actions or some of the ideas within your own camp are wrong or bad or you don't make sense to you. That's okay. You can criticize them. was never left. Yeah, that's my point, Hambliss. Exactly. Like when people tell you this, it's all that's telling you is that they really weren't, right? They really weren't. Then like you never really believed in any of this, because like if all it took to drop all your principles was like some bad elements or some perceived pernicious elements of your camp, if that's all it took, then maybe you just didn't believe them in the beginning. Maybe you just didn't have those beliefs. And you know what? He's more than capable of finding these things out. So the TLDR of what I'm getting at is, it's just a great meme how this dude made a career out of selling himself as some type of disillusioned liberal, and made a career out of that. And now that he's firmly has his pockets firmly filled, he does the good old reveal. You know, when they take down the curtain, when they do that final reveal at the end of the show. There's so many different mixes of views on the left. Yeah, exactly. And I don't agree with all of them. And it's okay. I do it all the time. In fact, I'm going to do now. We got to stop having these semantic fights and look for a one-action solution and come together as a strong base using a diversity of tactics. True. We infight a lot on the left, but I wouldn't ditch my values because of it. Right. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like, because this would be like me finding it's such a cheap cop-out to say like, oh look, there's such like mega cringe people on the left, so therefore like, sorry guys, I'm like now conservative. Okay. Oh yeah, 100%. It pays. Look at that. Best-selling author. 2.3 million followers. A relatively successful podcast. Must be nice. Right. Self-critic, looking from the past, quite important. Oh yeah, for sure. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with you saying like, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't be going down this direction. Maybe we should have better ways of reaching out to people. Maybe we shouldn't do X, Y, or Z. Whatever. That's okay. It's okay to criticize your own like camp, you know? Speaking of reveals, did you hear Giuliani was on the upcoming season of Masked Singer? When he was unmasked, the judges walked out? Nice. And it's a lot of the same story. You're liberal until you have some material wealth you can lose by remaining liberal, then you become conservative. Well, no, I think this is just like a classic Rave Dubin grift, right? He did the Rave Dubin. He just did the Rave Dubin. Good memes. I've been reading about Germany's many revolution and how fascism came to power there. Really eye-opening shit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like basic morals. I don't know, like people deserve healthcare. Toxicologist testifies that drugs actually did not kill George Floyd for the umpteenth time. For the umpteenth time to legitimately put this nail in the coffin. Put this final nail in the coffin. And to just blow out this continuous and, quite frankly, disgusting argument that conservatives keep pushing, like Sargon of Akkad, that George Floyd was, wasn't killed by the officer. In fact, he was on drugs, which is usually the anything to put blame on where it's supposed to be. For the umpteenth time, a separate toxicologist has testified in the trial of the other officers has testified that it wasn't drug use, it wasn't the heart disease or an agitated state known as excited delirium that caused Floyd's death. Again, because I've also heard people, conservatives, make the argument that, it was his bad heart. It was the combination of his bad heart and drugs. When even in the state's own autopsy or report, it said very clearly the amount of fentanyl in his system. And you can actually check what would be the lethal amount of fentanyl. You can do these things, you can research these things. But they're not interested. They're not interested in that. Dr. Vic Baberta, an emergency physician and toxicologist and professor at the University in Colorado in suburban Denver, bolstered the prosecution's contention that Floyd died because of how Officer Chauvin pressed on his knee down the black man's neck for 9.5 minutes. Yeah, that might have done it. He also backed up other experts who have faulted officers for failing to roll Floyd on his side, as they have been trained to do so that he could breathe freely. Yeah, research is just for nerds on the left, true. Oh yeah, that and Bob Saget may have been murdered because that's not creepy. Yeah, they tried to blame COVID or the vaccine. I've heard conspiracy theories that were trying to blame the vaccine for Bob Saget's death. It turns out it had nothing to do with that, of course, because they couldn't wait for the actual, report to come out. They just started spewing off random conspiracy theories about the vaccine. Hey, Entroma, how's it going? Howdy, howdy. Former officers Alexander King, Thomas Lane, and is it Tutau? I don't know how to pronounce this, are accused of depriving Floyd of his civil rights by failing to give him medical aid while he was handcuffed face down outside a convenience store where he allegedly tried to pass a counterfeit $20 bill, which to this day, did we ever find out if that was even the case? Just finished a work meeting? Nice. Well, if they waited for the report, then they couldn't blame the vaccine now, could they? True, I didn't think about that. Ewing and Thayer were also accused of failing to intervene in the killing, which triggered protests worldwide and a re-examination of racism and policing. As court began Wednesday, the U.S. District Judge Paul Magnuson dismissed a juror whose son was ill and replaced him with an alternate. Magnuson, concerned about COVID, ordered the selection of 6 alternates instead of the usual 2 in case any of the 12 original jurors had to drop out. The trial was interrupted for 3 days last week because one defendant tested positive. Babarta said he concluded that Floyd died from a lack of oxygen to his brain and he had suffocated because his airway had been closed off. That was consistent with testimony Monday from a lung specialist who said Floyd could have been saved if officers moved him into a position to breathe more easily. But Barta said Floyd did not die from the low levels of fentanyl, which we went over because this was a common and quite frankly disgusting talking point. We went over it. The state's own report told you the levels of fentanyl in his system. You could have just double checked it with what would be consistent with fatal levels of fentanyl, and they just weren't there. Furthermore, you have to also take into consideration that sometimes even elevated levels of certain drugs may be applicable differently to people. Did not die from low levels of fentanyl and methamphetamine in his system, nor from his heart disease and high blood pressure, as also has been attempted to be promoted. He said that on his video from an inside convenience store before his fatal encounter with police, Wood did not appear to be seriously intoxicated or experiencing an overdose, but he did not dispute a store clerk's testimony that Floyd seemed high. He was awake, walking, communicating, and walking quickly at times. Both prosecutor Amanda Sertich and Thau's attorney questioned the doctor about the excited delirium. Medical examiners in recent decades have attributed some in-custody deaths to the disputed condition, often in cases where the person became extremely agitated after taking drugs or having a mental health episode or other health problems. Bebarta said that Floyd did not display any symptoms typically associated with such conditions, such as high pain tolerance, superhuman strength, and endurance. He said he'd probably seen at least 1,000 patients over the years. Yeah, he did not die from what would be referred to as excited delirium. Yeah. Right, it's not like there's multitudes of other cases of death by positional asphyxiation. Exactly. So again, just to reiterate and put that nail in the coffin, this is a completely separate specialist from a completely other state. In a tangential case, this isn't even nothing to do with Chauvin. This was the 3 other officers who are on trial right now. Is proving once again, for the umpteenth time, that the evidence is clear. Derek Chauvin murdered this guy. Period. Full stop. If it was fentanyl, then why are you cutting off the airway and not using Narcan? Yeah, so there's other procedural violations there where they did not attempt to, obviously by the video, did not attempt to assist him in any way, shape, or form, even if it was. Once a person is in your custody, they're your responsibility. Not to mention, since we love going into people's background, Derek Chauvin had multiple brutality cases against him or complaints against him. So it's not out of the realm, since we love to go into histories, it's not out of the realm for him to just want to be violent. It's not out of the realm or out of behavior, out of normal behavior for him to be to act in this way, to act in a brutal way. The reality is this guy should have never been an officer after dozens and dozens of complaints. Is there a picture on the internet with a cop that slapped a Narcan label on his gun? Jesus. Yeah, but those are just facts. What are facts supposed to prove? Yeah, why do I even bother? True. That's right. So what am I supposed to do with all these facts? Why do I even bother? By the way, in case you guys want to see like just how undeniable that story was, I just took it from the local news. There is plenty of other news sources. Even Fox News is reporting on that very incident, on the case of these other officers. So it's not just some lefty bias or concoction or narrative that we're trying to spread. It's just the facts. You know, I wonder if people like Sargon are going to go and do a adjustment to their original claims that George Floyd died of fentanyl or heart disease. I wonder if Sargon of Akkad would have the integrity to go back and say he was wrong. The answer to that is, of course not. Sargon would never have the integrity to do that. Students walk out of West Virginia school after Christian revival. Cool. Between calculus and European history classes at West Virginia Public High School, 16-year-old Cameron Mays and his classmates were told by teachers to go to an evangelical Christian revival assembly they were ordered to do this. So please tell me about how you feel like your children are being indoctrinated by leftists in public schools. Please tell me. Please tell me the indoctrination that your children are going to, please tell me the leftist indoctrination that is happening. When students arrived at the event in the school's auditorium, they were instructed to close their eyes and raise their arms in prayers. The teens were then asked to give their lives over to Jesus to find purpose and salvation. Those who didn't follow the Bible would go to hell. The Huntington High School junior sent a text to his father. Is this legal? The answer, of course, is no. Yeah, it's in a public school. In fact, separation of church and state is one of the country's founding basic tenets. Just to see that defamed and ignored in such a blatant way is disheartening. Nybert and other Huntington students staged a walkout during the homeroom period Wednesday to protest the assembly. More than 100 students left their classroom chanting, "Separate the church and state, my faith, my choice." Nice. Awesome. That is very cool. The kids are alright. I don't think any kind of religious official should be hosted in a taxpayer-funded building with the express purpose of trying to convince minors to become baptized after school hours. During the walkout, he held a sign reading, "My rights are non-negotiable." Nice. They're high schoolers, Alio. More than 1,000 students attend Huntington High. The mini revival took place last week during Compass, a daily non-instructional break in the schedule where students can study for tests, work on college prep, or listen to guest speakers. The Flower said the event was voluntary, organized by the school's chapter, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which... No. When they are 18, they may choose the religion No, I think that you shouldn't be forced into any religion. Period. Full stop. That's just my You shouldn't be forcing kids into religion. Period. That's indoctrination. You shouldn't tell your kids that this is what you have to do or you're going to hell. That's just like not the way it is. No. No, and furthermore, as agnostic and a lot of the chat members have said, no religion in public school. Like that's just plain and simple. Full stop. No religion in public school. Period. They literally wouldn't let one of the kids of another faith leave. They locked him in. That is just gross. That is just gross. He said there was supposed to be a sign-up sheet for students, but 2 teachers mistakenly brought their entire class. It's unfortunate that it happened. We don't believe it'll ever happen again. Yeah, what should be the response is that we will never have this again, period. These Christian Fellowship of Christian Athletes, just no. But in this community of fewer than 50,000 people in Southwest Virginia, the controversy has ignited a broader conversation about whether religious service, voluntary or not, should be allowed during school hours at all. No, they shouldn't. The group of parents, the ACLU of West Virginia and other organizations said the answer to this question is also no. They're a clear violation of student civil rights. True. When they are 18, they may choose whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, sure, you can do whatever you want, but like as a kid, I don't believe you should be forced indoctrinated into a religion, period. I think that you should present things to your child as a choice, as an option. You shouldn't be indoctrinating your kids into religion. And much less, the school shouldn't be doing this either. I was Catholic until I reached the age of reason, which was 13, when I told my parents, no thank you, I'll pass. Yeah, when you realize that this is not for you, at that point, you should probably respect your child's decision and move on. It is inappropriate and unconstitutional for the district to offer religious leaders unique access to preach and proselytize students during school hours on school property. True. Freedom from Religion Foundation, a nonprofit that promotes separation of church and state, wrote in a letter to the school district. The district cannot allow its schools to be used as recruiting grounds for churches. True. Yeah, fuck that. Life is weird. Bethany Fountain said her Jewish son was one of the students forced to attend the assembly. She said when he asked to leave, the teacher told him their classroom door was locked and he couldn't go. He sat back down in his seat, uncomfortable. Yeah, fuck that. Sorry. Fuck that. It's completely unfair and unacceptable to a situation to put a teenager in. I'm not knocking their faith, but there's a time and place for everything, and in public schools during the school day is not the time and place. Yeah, that's like the cherry on top of everything. Yeah. Well, the TLDR of this, before we get into our final article here, is yeah, religion shouldn't be in schools, period. Yeah, these kids aren't being indoctrinated, they're being saved. Yeah. True. The TLDR is more solid, more stuff like this. Huh? It's so dope that they stood up for themselves. Yeah, that's we need more of that. I was told that because of my indigenous, I was damned to hell, but they used the S word, which I won't abide. That's pretty cringe, Jam Tomb. Not cool. Congrats to these kids standing up for themselves. Kids teaching the grown-ups what to do. Kids teaching the grown-ups what to do. The most shocking part is that it happened in West Virginia. True. Yeah, Jesus needs to save these kids from free thinking. True. No, don't allow. This is... No. We had a couple of students walk out around here too, but for different reasons. It's time to stop comparing big oil to big tobacco. Okay. Media training, folks. Media literacy. The adults looking at the kids' solidarity. I learned it from you, please. True. True. The kids teaching the adults. How embarrassing. The similarities between big oil and tobacco have been well documented, from covering up the negative impact on their products and a plethora of lawsuits and boycotts they both face. What is more relevant now is the major difference between the two. Most notably, the oil industry is a vital part of the global commodity and will play a major role in any transition. While cigarettes companies turn to less regulated market in order to maintain profits, developing nations have actively lobbied to grow their oil industry. Oh, so they want it, therefore it's good? It's not a novel or particularly creative to compare big oil to big tobacco. Over the years, if not dozens, if not hundreds of think pieces have been published to this effect, chronicling a myriad similarities between the two controversy-plagued industries and pointed to big tobacco's past to predict big oil's future. Yeah. While the comparison may be running the risk of growing trite, the sector's trajectory continued to share plenty of similarities that are hard to ignore. There are, however, major differences between the two, and it is those differences that are important not to lose sight of. Well, companies going in to drill new places, opening up due to climate change, but also buying up green energy auctions. True. True. So they tried to make a comparison. You know, obviously big oil has done the same thing by getting experts to lie, has been confirmed not only just by reports, but by their own admission. They have been engaged in misinformation to mislead the public about what the reality is of their products, the health risks, the environmental impact that they're having. They knew and hid for decades. So they kind of make that comparison, which is pretty obvious here. But then, you know, obviously, greenwashing is a huge problem. And a tacit admission that it seems safe to say that oil executives are not likely to eat or not exactly eager to curb oil and gas production. Yeah, that's kind of the problem is. And of course, you know, obviously, the good memes happen over here. This is where the comparison falls apart and where critics need to be engaged with a more nuanced view of the fossil fuel industry. Cigarettes never powered the world. Oh, guys, have you considered the fact that the oil industry is what powers the world? So therefore, we need to have a little bit of nuance over here, folks. Cigarettes were not directly correlated to economic growth. Guys, have you considered the economy? And they did not provide energy security. What? This is just like ludicrous. Renewable energy would be moving towards the direction of energy security. This is just a lie. This is a plan that developing nations have lobbied for as the only fair and ethical option. Oh, so... What? It is a grave injustice, many leaders of the developing nations argued, to punish countries that are only beginning to develop their own economies. So provide them the resources that you promised to them so that they can move in a more green direction. That was the whole point. They pledged They pledged in COP26 hundreds of billions of dollars to do this. Africa, which accounts for just 2 to 3% of greenhouse gas emissions, depends on cheap, abundant sources of fuel to have a chance of staying competitive and adaptive as one of the regions that's been hardest hit by climate change, which is also perpetuated by these fossil fuel companies. So, yeah, there's a reason why some of the suggestions done through the IPCC reports was to provide funds to these countries so that they are able to do this, so that they won't just fall by the wayside. That was the whole point. This is incredibly disgusting and dishonest. Yeah, ask Texans about the energy security through fossil fuels. Unfortunately, as Forrest pointed out, the only orderly transition will not achieve global carbon neutrality by 2050, not by a long shot. In the end, big oil is nothing like big tobacco. No one needs cigarettes to survive. No one needs oil to survive either. And provide better opportunities for the next generation. You know what else provides better opportunities for the next generation? A system that leaves them with a habitable planet. How about that one? How about that for... How about that for a better opportunity? How about the opportunity to have better water, better air quality? How about the opportunity, the economic opportunity to propel ourselves to the future? This is literally we can't put out these poor candle makers in favor of the light bulb. We can't. What about the horse and carriage industry? Who will ever think of the horse and carriage industry? One that we won't solve through abolition, but through cooperation, transparency, accountability on the part of the wealthy countries and oil companies, except they have none of this. We don't have transparency. We have oil companies consistently lying to us. Accountability? What accountability? We've given out more leases and permits to destroy the environment. What cooperation? The only thing they care about is profit. The reality is, we have to decouple ourselves from fossil fuels in as many ways as possible, as quickly as possible. It just has to happen, okay? And the private sector is not capable of handling it. It's just not up for the task. I have to run. See you later. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate that. Think of the typewriting repairman. True. We can't live you living off for free. You need to buy one of those eco-survival habitat huts. True. I didn't think about that. Society's going through one of those disruptions right now. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about the oil barons. Shame on me. Shame on me. This is like the kind of cringe that gets put out on the front page of Google News. Unfortunately. Media literacy, folks. You gotta read very carefully and just pay attention to what is being fed to you. That being said, folks, unfortunately, that is all the time I have today. I want to thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much to the Benjamin P. Dixon Show for the raid. Thank you, Jam Tomb. I appreciate that. Thank you for all that have followed here. Thank you for the subscription. I appreciate you guys. Go follow anyone with the little diamond. Thanks, ADT. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate that as always. Folks, please stay safe. And on your way out, don't forget to hit the follow button. You get 5 free emotes Do the YouTubes, do the do the thing. Okay? Do the thing, do the Discords, do the YouTubes. As always, please stay safe, please take care of each other. I love y'all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya! You have a good day.